I had traveled 8,000 miles around the American continent, and I was back on Times Square. And right in the middle of a rush hour, too, making me see with my innocent road eyes the absolute madness and fantastic hoorah of New York, with its millions and millions hustling forever for a buck among themselves, grabbing, taking, giving, sighing, dying, just so they could be buried in those awful cemetery cities beyond Long Island, the high towers of the land, the other end of the land, the place where paper America is born. I stood in a subway doorway trying to get up enough nerve to pick up a beautiful long butt. And every time I stooped, great crowds rushed by and obliterated it from my sight, and finally it was crushed. I had no money to go home in the subway. Ozone Park is 15 miles from Times Square. Can you picture me walking those last 15 miles through Manhattan and Brooklyn? It was dusk. Where was Hunky? I dug the square for Hunky. He wasn't there. He was in Rikers Island behind bars. Where Neil? Where Bill? Where everybody? Where life? I had my home to go to, my place to lay my head down and recoup the losses I had suffered, and figured the gain that I knew was in there somewhere too. I had to panhandle a dime for a subway. Finally hit a Greek minister who was standing on the corner. He gave me the dime with the nervous look away. I rushed immediately to the subway, and when I got home, I ate everything in the icebox. My mom got up and looked at me. "Poor little John," she said in French. "You're thin, you're thin. Where have you been all this time?" I had on 2 shirts, 2 sweaters. My canvas bag had torn cotton field pants and the tattered remnants of my Guaracha shoes in it. My mother and I decided to buy a new refrigerator with the money I'd sent her from California. It was to be the first one in the family. She went to bed, and late at night, I couldn't sleep. I just smoked in my bed. My half-finished manuscript was on the desk. It was October, home and work again. The first cold winds rattled the window pane, and I made it just in time. Neil had come to my house. Slept several nights there waiting for me. Spent afternoons talking to my mother as she worked on a great rag rug wove of all the clothes in my family for years, which was now finished and spread on my bedroom floor, as complex and as rich as the passage of time itself, and then left 2 days before I arrived, crossing my path probably somewhere in Pennsylvania or Ohio to go to San Francisco, of all places in the world, and hunt my missing footsteps there. He had his own life there. Carolyn had just gotten an apartment. It had never occurred to me to look her up while I was in Marin City. Now it was too late, and I had also missed Neil. I never dreamed that first night at home I would see Neil again, and that it would start all over again on the road, the whirlwind road, more than I ever in my wildest imaginings foresaw.